we are going to go into our self-love topic. I wanted to talk tonight with everyone about setting healthy boundaries. Now, you all may say, okay, it's not as deep as some of the other weeks, the previous shows. And you're right, it's definitely not as deep. But I really wanted to go into just really talking about setting healthy boundaries because I think it's just as important. This is something that, I'll be honest with you, I have really struggled with. I still struggle with this from time to time because I just don't really like to say no to people, especially like if I just feel like I don't want them to think that I'm coming from a space of, meanness or, just not concerned or compassionate for their situation. But I've always struggled with telling people no. So, like I said, it may not be as deep of a subject as previous shows, but it's definitely something that we should talk about. So, for a long time, I consider myself, a very friendly, bubbly person. And, I was really a people pleaser. That's actually what I was. I just was someone that wanted to always please people, wanted to always be noted as like this kind person. So as a result, when my children were little, I just always noticed that, I had 4 small kids, and I noticed that my friends and neighbors in the community, when they had things that they needed to do, they would ask me, hey, can I come and drop my kids off? Can I bring my kids over to your house or whatever? And I would always be like, yeah, it's fine. And then when I had things to do, I couldn't drop you, and they'd be like, ooh, but you got 4 kids. And I'm like, well, I had 4 kids when you were asking me, to watch yours. So it's just one of those things where I didn't even realize that, I should have been really more mindful of if I was, being taken advantage of, or in the mindset of people knew I was kind or nice or whatever, and it was just a thing of, oh, she'll do it. She'll always say yes. And this kind of stood out to me as I was younger because, like I said, I was always, basically like, yeah, I'll do it, and just had that people pleaser mentality, no matter if it inconvenienced me.
And sometimes you just don't have the energy to give to other people.
Right, but I didn't focus on that. So ever since sometimes you don't have the energy to give to other people, I didn't focus on that. I always felt like I was coming from a place of yes, even if it put me out or even if it inconvenienced me or took time away from my family, my kids, it didn't matter. I just wanted to always be this person that people could rely on. I didn't want to disappoint other people. I just always wanted to come from a place of yes. But at the end of the day, I look up and it's like, I'm empty. I don't have anything else to give, So I had to really learn to start understanding, do I say yes? Do I say that, I'm sorry, this is not a good time for me? When I would feel used up, I would start to feel like resentment. And I would be like, oh, they always want to bring, I started to get kind of upset. But it was my own fault because I was allowing it, So this quote by Brene Brown says, daring to set boundaries is about having the courage to love ourselves even when we risk disappointing others. And that's what I just didn't want to disappoint people. And so that's why I was like, okay, it's fine. But truthfully, what was happening was I wasn't being good to myself. I wasn't showing myself self-love because I was putting everybody and everything above me or before me. So, because I wanted to be known as reliable and dependable and that sort of thing. But, I want to talk to you all tonight about setting healthy boundaries for yourself. Going forward. Think about, relationships that you have and things that you've set up either at your jobs, your friendships, and that sort of thing. You guys listening?
Yeah.
Okay.
No is a complete sentence.
No is a complete sentence?
Yes.
Okay. Who said that?
Me.
Oh, you said that. Albert said no is a complete sentence, so the answer is no. Well, I do it a little bit kinder, a little bit nicer. I still find ways to say, you know what? I'm sorry I'm not going to be able to do that at this time. But ask me again later. I may be able to help you out later. But I want to talk to you guys a little bit about when you're setting your healthy boundaries. Let me tell you a few things a few little useful tips. First of all, name your limits. To yourself, to your friends, to your family. You can't set good boundaries if you don't know where you stand. Emotionally, mentally, if something's making you uncomfortable, understand why. Why is this making me uncomfortable? What's going on here? really checking in with yourself, because that's really what is necessary for you to create a boundary. In order to create a boundary, you must know where you stand, right? So, what'd you say, Abby? Yes,
right.
Absolutely. So, one thing that I look at is I basically say, okay, let me check. They say a gut check. Let me check with my gut, meaning your stomach, your belly. If something's making you feel uncomfortable, you typically feel it in your stomach first before anything. Sometimes you may feel a little bit of goosebumps, a little chills, but what you have to do is check within yourself to see, why am I feeling this resistance? Why am I feeling uncomfortable in this moment? What is going on with me? This is self-awareness. So basically what you're doing is, instead of saying, sure, I'll do this, this is fine, and you agree to do something, or, whatever the case may be, and then days later, or, hours later, you're like, why did I say yes? What was I thinking? And you start doing this thing in your mind where you're basically saying, I'm resisting this. Why am I? So that's what you got to do. You got to check in with yourself if something is bothering you. And one of our favorite, Abra and I and some of my friends, our favorite spiritual, advised leaders, Abraham Hicks, an author, she says, you always in life want to find the path of least resistance. So whatever is going on in your life, you always are looking and searching for the path of least resistance. When I'm doing something, is it something that I wholeheartedly want to do? Is it something that I'm so fully in that I don't have really any resistance? Those are the things that you want to say yes to. Those are the things that you want to put your time and energy into. So also, another tip is be direct. Now, this may not actually be necessary if the person that you're communicating with has the same, similar communicating style as you. Meaning, if you kind of talk the same and you kind of flow the same, and you could kind of say, oh, I don't know about that, and they can pick up the hint like this, like, okay, Reagan's not feeling it, or, whatever. If that happens, then you don't have to really be direct, because they picked up on it. They're like, okay, well, she just doesn't want to do this, or, she's not comfortable with this. But if you're hey, Aunt Meg, look at Aunt Meg, Abra. Hey, Aunt Meg. My Aunt Meg is on. But if it's a person that, your styles may be very different, your communicating styles may be different, they may not get the hint. They may not understand, or they may just be pushy. And They want to take, if you're going to give, a lot of people are going to take. That's just the way of life. So, if that's the case, then you just want to be direct. You just want to say, no, I'm so sorry, I cannot do that at this time. Done.
No, period.
Abra said no, period. You still can put a few more words, but she said no is a complete sentence. Hey, Kima, we got everybody in the house tonight. I'm so excited. Okay.
But sometimes we just create anxiety for ourselves when we agree to do things that we know we're not in a position to do. If you already have a full plate and you agree to do something, knowing what you have on your plate, then it builds anxiety, or sometimes it can even build resentment.
And stress, exactly. So Abra says, if you already have a full plate and you have taken on more than you can really chew, bite off more than you can chew, or whatever, you put more on your plate, it creates resentment. It may create stress for you. It may create anxiety for you. So emotionally, physically, you got mentally, you need to check in with yourself and make sure that if something is going on and you're not feeling comfortable, you need to be able to say that. So also, one thing is, give yourself permission to set the boundaries. What that means is, don't allow fear, guilt, or self-doubt, which are potential pitfalls, because you may be afraid of what that person may say. You may feel guilty about not doing something, even though you know you can't, it's really not in you to do. And then you might doubt yourself. So if that's the case, then you really need to kind of set the boundaries, start talking to people I'm not comfortable with this, even maybe before the question even arises. If you just feel like something's going to happen where someone's going to ask you to do something that you just don't feel comfortable with. You got to practice self-awareness. You got to check in with yourself. You got to know, okay, this is where I stand, and those things over there, I don't condone those, or I don't want to be a part of that. So you make self-care a priority. That's very important. You make yourself a priority in this. Seek support. If you have friends or family, you can say, hey, Abra, this makes me uncomfortable when this person comes around. I'm going to say I can't do this. Can you kind of back me up on it? Seek support. It's not anything that's wrong to say, I need a little help, letting this person know that these things are not working for me. Okay? Be assertive, set your boundary, and follow through. If you tell someone, I really can't do something.
Especially your kids.
Especially your children. Especially your children. Follow through, meaning stay firm in it. Don't let, if you say, no, I can't do something, or you say, this is not going to work for me, make sure that you follow through with that. So we're going to be, Instagram Live is going to jump off because we're at an hour on Instagram, and I can keep rolling on Facebook. And I'm going to be finishing up here in a second. So, hey, guys, if you're on Instagram, it's going to cut out in like 1 minute. So, Jill, I see you're on there. Mira's on there. Sunny's on there. Jump on my Facebook Live. I'm going to go for just a little bit longer in this subject. I'd love to have you join us, okay? So, go to Radiant Reagan. You can share that over there, Jabril. You can.
And Mom said, when people put you on the spot, tell them to let you get back to them.
Okay, so my mother is my creative director, and she says when people put you on the spot, this is her advice, and I mean, words of wisdom, right? When people put you on the spot, tell them to let you get back to them. So, because what you're really doing is you are kind of wanting to figure out what you want to say in order to let people know, I'm so sorry, I can't do this for you.
And you don't want to agree to something before you've had time to think about it. If your schedule's tight,
Mm-hmm.
or you're not getting enough rest, or you got a lot on your plate, you don't want to agree to things that you're going to complain about later, or put your body to too much strain,
right,
doing things.
Right. So Avram was saying basically, like, you just don't want to. What is it, Avram? You don't want to. What did you just say? She said a whole lot. I was trying to reiterate her because I don't know if you can hear her or not.
What I was saying is sometimes you do need to think about it because you don't want to put your body through too much.
So she's saying basically she's kind of speaking to what Maxine said, which is sometimes you need a little bit more time to think about, do I really want to do this? Is it really going to affect me in a way that it's going to put me off a little bit? So tell that person, let me get back to you and I'll let you know. So that there's no harm in that. Also, what you want to do is start small. This means like you're basically communicating little things here and there because it takes practice sometimes to set boundaries. I was thinking about this. I was like, what is a good little boundary? And I was thinking like if you're dating and, it's like a potential love interest or something and they're calling you really late, just let them know.
Oh, I've been there.
You've been there?
I have been there. Staying up late on the phone,
whatever, and she has to get up early. So I was just thinking about that. Like, that's a little way that you can kind of set a boundary. Like, you know what? I really don't like to take calls after 10 or whatever. That's just like, if you are a person that kind of has issues with setting boundaries, you want to just give like little bits and, just start small. That's a good little tip. Like, let me just.
Reagan, everybody said they can hear me. You don't have to.
Oh, Amber said everyone. Yes. Okay, Amber. She said everybody can hear. Okay, good. That's perfect. Okay, and I want to tell you guys, because I don't want to take credit for that, these little tips came from psychcentral.com. So if you want to kind of look a little bit more into setting boundaries, because I was really interested in this. I was like, I've been struggling with this for so long, but it was like the information is there, like little helpful tips. So psychcentral.com, psychcentral.com. Okay, so that's where you can go to get a little bit of, more of that information regarding those helpful tips. So I'm seeing people coming on from the Instagram. So we went on this Instagram for the first time tonight because I just really wanted to try it out. But it stopped at an hour. We were having some technical issues. But we're here popping off on the Facebook like we always do. And so I want to add this last little piece, and then we can go into our giveaways and we'll be done. Another reason why I think it's very important to set healthy boundaries is because you always want to protect your sacred space and your sacred energy. And basically what that means is like who you are. You want to protect your energy, right? And I'm gonna go into this, on a later show because I could go all day about this because this is really important. So I'm just gonna kind of touch on it right now. Basically, if there are situations in your life where you feel, you have, toxic relationships, toxic friendships, people that, it's like, this is not serving me anymore. You really want to limit your time around that person because what you will find is sometimes a person's aura will just make you feel uncomfortable. And it's just something, girls, do you know about that? Yes. Okay. So I have some high schoolers in my, seniors, right?
Yes.
Seniors!
2021.
Seniors. And basically what they're saying is it's even for young adults where, you know, if someone's aura is making you feel uncomfortable and, you know, you just don't know what it is, you can't explain it, it's just something is not agreeing with your spirit, you have to be mindful of that. So what you need to do is really limit your time with that person because, you know, I feel like, you know, energies transfer. They could just be sucking everything out of you, trying to use you for everything you have, and then you leave and you feel very depleted. You know, every time you leave them, you're like, why am I so drained?
And sometimes you just outgrow people. You've raised your frequency, and they're still in a low place.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know, and it's not from a judgmental standpoint.
Right.
Albert said, you know, sometimes you outgrow people, you raise your frequency, and they are kind of, you know, still vibing on a low vibration. But, you know, like I said, it's not to be judgmental. It's just like, I'm just not clicking. We're just not clicking anymore. You know, and I look at it and I say, we're not in alignment.
Right.
And it's just, that's okay. You know, we're not in alignment, and I'd just rather, you know, spend my time, my energy with people that I vibe with.
And people who help me level up, and we are leveling up together.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I just want to bring this one point. You know, somebody sent me something, Miss Van, she sent me this little story from somebody was basically relaying a story in the Bible that's in Matthew, and it's in chapter 9. And it talks about, you know, Jesus Christ was walking through the village with his disciples, and he was, you know, talking to some people, and they were like shoulder to shoulder walking through. And this is a parable in Matthew. And basically, you know, this is the story of the woman with the issue of the blood. Mm-hmm. So she was, you know, having a vaginal bleeding situation for 12 years, going to seeing doctors, and basically like just, you know, they describe it in the Bible as a woman with the issue with the blood, with the flow of blood. And basically nobody wanted to be around her. She was ostracized, you know, at that time. They didn't have situations that we have now. And can you imagine, she's soaking stuff and whatever. They didn't want to be around her. It was just an unclean situation. So as Jesus is walking by, you know, this lady basically, because her faith was so strong, her belief was so strong in the energy and the miracles that Jesus could perform, she said, if I could just touch the hem of his garment. So as he was walking by with his disciples, he felt something. And he said, what just touched me? What just touched me? And they said, Jesus, well, there's a lot of people around, and we're kind of shoulder to shoulder, and we're out on the street. You know, anybody could have touched you. He said, no, I felt something touch me. And basically, meaning when she touched the hem of his garment, she was able to pull something out of him that healed her. And just what I mean by that is that, to me, is how the Bible kind of speaks about spirit transfers, energy transfers. He knew that something was being withdrawn from him. So be mindful of that when you're around people that, you know, you may not be vibing with. They may be pulling something out of you. They may be withdrawing from your spirit and you're depositing to them, and you're being the light, and you're, you know, giving them, you know, all of this information or whatever they're getting from you, and they may be pulling something out of you. So just be mindful of that. So I just want to tell you, vibes don't lie. Just remember that. So guard your sacred space, because, you know, it's just you being healthy mentally, physically, emotionally. That's real self-love, because that will help you to always be your best radiant self ever. Woo!